Hey, in this video, we'll be doing the Easter eggs and predictions for season 1, episode 5 of Marvel's WandaVision. So beware spoiler, not caught up. So the episode's title was called on on a very special episode, which is referring to the fact that sitcoms would normally do like special episodes about real life topics and get serious for a while, and it's tied to this episode because they're dealing with Wanda and Vision are dealing with their kids growing up while wanting to have a learning a lesson about grief and like letting people like objects go after their uh, death, like how they find a dog in this episode where and then he passes away and stuff like that. So dealing with their pain, but the I know it didn't go right away. It didn't happen in the very beginning of this episode, but they did have a title sequence was and it was an homage to three separate shows. The first one was Family Ties with the painting, like painting that it had, and that show premiered on September 22nd, 1982. The other one was the other show was Growing Pains, which was with all like the aging up like the characters through the photos, and that premiered on September 24th, 1985. And the other one was there were two scenes in the intro with the family running up like running towards the camera, and then the camera comes towards them, and the one and when they were in a picnic area, that is actually a reference to Full House, which premiered on September 22nd, 1985. So we're in the 80s era, and it is cool that they did make a reference to the Full House show because the Olsen twins is Elizabeth Olsen's sister in real life. So having to be making homage to that show is kind of fun. It's kind of fun. So we go into the actual episode at the beginning before the intro. The kids are giving Wanda and Vision a hard time. They're crying a lot, and Vision says he tried to read the Charles Darwin's The Descent of Man, which, as far as I can tell, it's about the evolution of man. Uh, so it's kind of like what they did in this episode, kind of where you saw the progression of their kids going from babies to 5-year-olds to 10-year-olds. So I guess in a way that would tie back to the story in a sense. But yeah, and then out of nowhere, the nosy neighbor Agnes comes in, and she says that she's Auntie Agnes, and that actually has a callback to the second episode's intro with the Bewitched one, where they're in the grocery store. It said Auntie Ace cat food or something like that, something along those lines. But it ties back to that intro. So Auntie A is actually Auntie Agnes. So yeah, and we go to this is the first episode where they go back and forth to what's called the WandaVision storyline, and the outside trying to figure out how to stop Wanda and whatnot. And we're back in the sword base, I guess, area, and they're just giving like a recap of Wanda's history of being born in Sokovia, parents dying at 10 years old, volunteering for Hydra, even though they never volunteered. I don't think they did. I think they actually got kidnapped or something like that, and forced to be experimented on. So yeah, I don't think that would be volunteering. I have to go back to watching that movie, but I think they were. They said they were. I don't think they said they were volunteered, but yeah. Then Jimmy Woo says they joined the Avengers, gained their trust after being on the bad side for a bit in Age of Ultron. Then Hayward is trying to paint her as the villain, saying that then Lagos happen in Germany, talking about Captain America: Civil War, and how she ended up blowing up a building in Lagos uh, after throwing Crossbone in the air, and then Germany as the big the big battle between Team Tony and Team Steve. And then in the same scene, you actually see during the video of Lagos, you actually see the WHIH news again pop up here. So yeah, but Hayward is actually giving some information to the sword team and whatnot, and he said something along the lines that he was giving a, like the okay to go show these people what exactly happened, which who's above Hayward because he's the acting director, so I assumed he would be. There was no I didn't think there would be like an security council or anything like that for like sword like it was for Shield, but it sounds like there is someone above them because he had to get authorization from someone to show these people this video of Wanda breaking into the sword facility to get Vision's body, which they were clearly experimenting on for some odd reason. I don't know what it was, but it does go back to what's called Monica saying that Sword is creating something in here in the Sword base when they were not supposed to be, because it doesn't say creating on in their acronym for Sword. So yeah, but Agent Wu says that resurrecting Vision was against the Accords, which I really want to know exactly what is on the Accords, because in the Civil War they painted it as that okay, it's just we have oversight of you guys. You cannot go to a certain place at a certain time if the government doesn't allow you to go that place. You can't intervene. But here they're saying that there's more to that, where that something about a resurrection of Vision is against the Accords, and I'm not gonna even talk about Agents of Shield because people probably don't really care about it. But there is other rules that they explored in the Accords as well. So it just seems like they're adding more to it, like than it was originally established in the movie. So yeah, and what's called Darcy Wu and Monica are kind of worried about what's gonna happen once Wanda finds out, or Vision finds out that he's being puppeteered around by Wanda, and Darcy refers to it saying that he's playing Father Knows Best, which is a reference to the show that came out on October 3rd, 1954. So 50s show, which started this whole show in the 50s. So it's, I guess, a cool callback there. But a big part of this episode, like I mentioned earlier, was the twins finding a dog and wanting to keep the dog, but then ending up getting killed. But and they name it Sparky, which is a reference to the comic books, but very differently, because Sparky in the comics was introduced in Vision Volume 2, Number 6 in April of 2006, so it's a very new character. But in that comic book, Sparky was actually an android thing similar to Vision and his family in that comic book, where Vision actually had a robot family instead of Wanda, and he ended up getting a robot dog for the kids and whatnot. So, but yeah, and he was also green in the comic books and not here. I kind of really wanted to, once when I saw people talking about it a couple weeks ago that Sparky's going to be in this episode or in the show, because they saw it in like a trailer or whatever. They I was kind of hoping that they would actually have a green dog, but even though it would be kind of weird and it wouldn't fit in the era that they're in, but I really wanted to see the green dog, but I guess they didn't want to do that. Uh, and then you we cut back to sword side after dealing with Sparky, uh, but or meeting Sparky, but you actually see Jimmy Woo heading towards the tent or wherever Darcy was, but he's actually holding a a lot of cups of coffee, which is a callback to earlier on when we first were reintroduced to Darcy because she wanted coffee and asked where can I get one. So Darcy finally gets her coffee in this episode, and Darcy actually gives this new anomaly force field thing that Wanda created. We don't know exactly if she created it or not because she says she doesn't remember it or not. Remember how this all started, but Darcy actually gives this dome thing called they call she calls it the hex, which people are saying it's a callback to her comic book or Wanda's comic book character, because in the comics her powers were referred to as hex powers, so that's mainly why people are it's possible that's why everything is in a dome, like a hexagon shape and whatnot, so because of Wanda's hex powers. I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but yeah. Then they start having like this kind of debate whether that saying that Wanda had never exhibited these powers before, and Wu actually says that she could have taken out Thanos if she or no, it was what was his Monica actually says that uh, Wanda could have taken out Thanos if he didn't take have a blitz or whatever, something along. Could have taken out Thanos, but then Wu says that because Monica said something along no one else came close, but Wu actually says Captain Marvel came close, and you see this like very tense, what's called tense face or look that Monica made when she Wu actually talked about Captain Marvel. So I wonder exactly what happened between them between the 1990s to now, like exactly what happened and why is she pissed off at Captain Marvel, because she was really good friends or good friends in the 1990s, so yeah. But they reference Wanda's powers of getting uh, Wanda's powers become are coming from the Infinity Stone by also talking about how Captain Marvel also got her powers from the Infinity Stone. So yeah, it's just a callback there. And then you jump back to uh, the WandaVision part of the episode where Vision is at work and his coworker Norm is just says that Vision can speak the same language as the computers, obviously because he is an AI and is connected to a computer and stuff like that. But here we have a continuity error. I mentioned it in the last episode where on his Norm's paragraph bio whatever, they were describing a scene where Vision got Norm's memories back and he started being freaked out about his father, and I believe I said brother in that last episode, but it actually is apparently sister in this episode. But yeah, he's just freaking out. But it didn't happen until this episode, so I don't know how they got it in the last episode. written down when like it's just a continuity error between the sword like team. Like there's no way that they would have known that information when they haven't actually watched this episode yet. So yeah, it's just a little interesting uh, continuity error. But throughout this episode, I think when they grew up to the 5 year olds, uh, Billy and Billy and Tommy are actually wearing their like their colors from the comic books, where Billy's wearing a red like outfit, and Tommy is wearing a green outfit, which is tied to their comic book counterpartners. Because in the comics do wear those colors in the for those characters. So yeah, and we have the sword team and Wanda clashing for the first time, like out in the real world, because Doc, Detector or Director Hayward thought he was smart and tried to kill Wanda when she's looking right at this missile. So it's kind of a stupid move on his part. But she ends up taking this missile to out into the real world, tossing it to them, and you actually see for a glimpse, for a quick second, that on the side of the missile it's actually a Stark missile, which he had to have known. Uh, like he has to know her actual traumatized issue with Stark back when they were 10. So yeah, like that is kind of a horrible move on their part, or Hayward's part, to put a Stark missile and try to kill Wanda with it. Considering her history with it. So yeah, but this jumps right to the commercial, which is all about Lagos, which is the what's called the city that she blew up the building with, and that started Civil War. And you actually have the tagline in this in the commercial saying, "For when you make a mess you didn't mean to," which is obviously referring to the fact that when she threw crossbones in the air, she didn't mean to actually blow up the building. It just happened to be that happen at that same time. So it was a mistake, and that is a dark commercial. Like these commercials are pretty dark, uh, even though they're played off as very lighthearted. So yeah, but we have this scene where the kids are looking for Sparky. They come across Agnes's house, and Agnes actually was actually wrapping the dog up and trying to explain what exactly happened, and saying that this dog or your dog ate these flowers or whatever, and then he passed away. And apparently in the comics, Sparky did actually die in the same way, or at least a similar way. He ate something and he died from it. So that's a callback to the comics as well. So yeah, but at the very end of the episode, you have this very surprising scene, which is also we're probably referring to the actual title of this episode on a very special episode, because this is a big thing that is happening in this episode, and that is they recast Pietro, and it's not just a random recast, because the actor that they got was Evan Peters, which actually is Quicksilver in the X-Men universe. Whether or not he's actually playing that version of that character or not, that's still to be seen like in the later episodes. But as of right now, he looks like Pietro and is pretending to be Pietro. So for all intents and purposes, right now it is a crossover between the MCU version, the MCU universe, and the X-Men universe for the first time. So since Marvel got the actual rights back, or got the whole like company of Fox, so they could do something like this. So yeah, and so that was the last part of the episode, and so for predictions, I don't really have a prediction at all. Really, I couldn't think of anything really, but I thought it was kind of weird, like that no one has brought it up, but when Wanda's trying to get the twins to go to sleep at the very beginning of this episode, her powers aren't working, and no one brought it up that this it was in the first time in this season, or yeah, the series, that her powers aren't working. Her powers weren't working on the Stark or the Stork just before the babies were being delivered. So is it like I wonder if her powers aren't gonna work on the babies or the twins at all. Similar to how the Stork's not working because the Stork was there to basically tell, basically to deliver these babies. So it's could be all tied into that. But people are probably assuming that it's probably because of Mephisto because the twins are tied to Mephisto in the comic books. So it might be that Wanda's powers aren't strong enough to affect the babies because of Mephisto. But I don't know if that would be the case. It just seems kind of weird, like weird thing. Uh, and Agnes even says that kids can't control them. So it sounds like Wanda cannot actually control these like kids. That her powers are never going to be able to affect anything that they do. So yeah, but they finally bring up the fact that there are no kids and children in Westview. Vision was saying, and that comes to a whole new like issue that I have. Like not issue like how are they gonna explain it? Because this you have this whole thing earlier on in the series that they were doing the whole talent show for the children, and then we have Billy and Tommy being born, but we find out have found out this town is actually a town with actual real people in it. So it seems kind of weird that not a single person in this town actually has a kid. That just doesn't seem right to me. So where did those kids actually go? And is it possible that somehow these Billy and Tommy are like have somehow when Wanda got pregnant, all the kids in the town of Westview actually was absorbed into these two twins. That would be kind of weird and disturbing if that actually is the case. But like it is kind of weird that the kids just like there's no kids in the town at all. So yeah, but we do see later on in the show because of the trailer there are going to be kids, but as of right now there are no kids. So where did they go, and did they really get absorbed into Billy and Tommy? That would be very disturbing if that actually is the case. But yeah. So comment down below if I missed any Easter eggs or references, and if you have any predictions for the upcoming episodes. See ya.